You okay? Okay. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are now live, and today I am joined by none other than the amazing, incomparable, extraordinary Dawn Halfkenny. And I am so
Thank you.
excited to talk to this amazing young lady that I had the very good fortune of meeting while standing in a lounge at Sundance at the Impact Lounge. I'm standing in line, getting a cup of coffee, and I turn around and I see this radiant young lady standing there, and she gives this big smile, and I smile back, and I said, "You look awfully familiar." And the rest is history. And
The rest
here
is
we
history.
are. So,
Yes.
Dawn, welcome to a conversation with. It is such a privilege and an honor to have you here.
Oh, Floyd, thank you so very much for having me. I appreciate it. Yes.
Yeah. So, our brief talk at Sundance, I had so many questions, but I said, you know what? No, I'm going to save all of them for the podcast. So I had a
Yes.
couple of sheets of notes that I had written down, and we're just going to get right into it. So
Yes.
one
Well,
thing that
first,
I oh
let me just
please,
congratulate you first on your podcast.
thank
As you
you.
mentioned, we met at Sundance, but you have such a positive, magnetic type of energy. I was just like, I knew that you were someone who I wanted to be connected with. So I'm so glad that we have this
Oh,
newfound friendship. So congratulations to you on your podcast.
thank you. That means
Absolutely.
so much. That really
Absolutely.
does because I hope that when I come into contact with people that I am exuding an energy that they can be drawn to because as you know this is a business of relationships,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that just means so much to me, so thank you so much for that. But let's get
Absolutely.
this thing started because I know some folk want to know, well, how you get doing on your show, who you think you is. Okay, well, well, she just told you because I have
No, you
positive
Floyd
energy.
Marshall.
Yeah, but
Um,
don't how did you get started in the film industry? How did that happen?
oh, I love telling the story so much because it's the truth. I was watching television with a friend of mine, and we were watching the news, and all of a sudden they flashed this casting call for something similar to like a soap opera. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to go audition. And my friend at the time was like, but you're not an actor. And I'm like, I'm still going to audition. I want to see how far I can get. Let me just see what happened. And I will never forget, they flashed the casting call, the location, as well as a link to where you can download the sides. So that tells you how long ago this was.
Yep.
So I downloaded the sides, I memorized the sides, and then I went to the audition. I believe it was like the next day or two or something. And I will never forget, the line was wrapped around the building. And I was like, oh my gosh. Because at the time, I had a corporate job and I went to this audition during my lunch break.
Mm.
So I'm like, how am I going to get back to my job? I'm not going to get through this line within an hour. So let me just say I was late getting back, but that was fine
Mhm.
because I ended up making it to the next round of audition, round of audition, the next day, which was very similar to, I wouldn't say it was like an on camera, but an on camera test shoot, but kind of similar to it
Mhm.
because they were kind of pairing up those who were auditioning to the lead actor. And we were going through the sides, and we were having fun, and we were just going through the scene. And although I wasn't the one that they picked,
Mhm.
that's when I knew, okay, this right here is something that I'm very interested in beginning. And I know that I will have longevity in this industry just by that alone. And so when I went home, I was like, okay, let me just figure out what I want to do next. Let me see um, where I can search and find some acting or some type of casting calls or something like that in the area, because then, which was like a little over 15 years ago, Atlanta wasn't booming in the television and film industry like it is now. It was more for music.
Mhm.
And I found it was like this post about that Tyler Perry was looking for some stand-ins and some extras. And so I said, you know what, let me just submit my headshot. And I submitted and they called me. And I'm very thankful for that opportunity as well, because that's where I first learned set etiquette. Yep. Yeah. So that's the beginning stages of my acting career.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you're watching television with your friend. A
Yes.
commercial comes on.
Mhm.
Hey, we're having open auditions, or for
Yep.
those not in the industry, a cattle call.
Hmm.
And you say, okay, I'm going to give that a shot. Now, before that, had there ever been any thoughts or any inkling of I want to get into the film industry or I want to be a performer? Did you have any thoughts of that before that commercial?
It was more so like I knew I wanted to be challenged in
Okay.
life. I just knew that I didn't want to sit behind a computer for the rest of my life.
Hmm.
And to each his own, for those who have the 9 to 5s or the corporate jobs, and they decided to that's what their life is going to be. But for me, it's just something in my heart that said, you know what, it's just something more that you can give. I just wanted something more. And so that's when I knew right there. And I said, okay, this is going to challenge me. Of course, locally, I would do, I would be in different uh, hair books, for modeling and, different fashion shows and whatnot. But still, even then, I was like, I just want to do something else. It's something else. It's like I was driven to do something else. And that's
Right.
when I found out acting. Hmm.
Yeah. And what's interesting? That's slightly similar to how I started my film company,
Mm.
because I started in the business wanting to be a fitness model.
Mm.
That didn't work out.
Yeah,
But
it's okay.
what ended up happening, because I started out with John Robert Powers,
Okay.
so they
Mhm.
have what they call a model walk, and
Yes.
you walk in front of all of these agents, and every
Yes.
single agent that I stood in front of said, "Are you an actor?" And I kept saying, "No, I want a model." And they were like, "No, you look like an actor." So I said, "Okay, well, maybe that's the universe telling me what I should do." So fast
Hmm.
forward, I start, doing acting. I take classes, and then I go to my first ABFF. And I came home and I told my wife, I'm going to start a film company. And the first
Wow.
thing she said was, "You don't have any film experience and don't nobody know you."
And
I
look
was
at you
hurt.
now.
I was hurt, girl. Let me tell
Right.
you something. I
Aren't
was,
you
I,
glad we didn't listen to anyone back then? Because look,
yo,
thriving.
Dawn. And I was like, yo, you supposed to be the ride or die. And you talk about don't nobody know you. I
She's
was
supposed to
so
be like,
messed up.
whatever you want to do, honey, do it. I
Right.
got your back.
She was like, don't nobody know you. I made my first short film based off that conversation.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because I was
Wow.
like, I'm gonna show you. But then
Yeah.
here I am 22 years later. And that's so, you know, insightful what you said. Aren't
Hmm.
you glad you didn't listen? Because when you listen, people will derail you like it ain't
Hmm.
nobody's business. So I was like, well, I'm gonna
Oh, for
show
sure.
her. I'm
Hmm.
gonna show her. And that's exactly. And I ended up going to making films and doing stage plays that was, very well
Hmm.
received, and things like that.
Hmm.
So you in this business, you definitely have to have the mindset of thank you for that advice, but I'm gonna go and do what I'm gonna do. You understand?
Yes. Yeah.
But
Absolutely. I totally agree with you
yeah,
100%.
yeah. But back to you. Enough about me.
Yes. Yes.
So you talked about doing the background work
Hmm.
on the Tyler Perry sets, and I want to talk a little bit about the progression, because you did background work for Tyler Perry, and then from 2009 to 2012, you did a series of short films, and then from
Oh, you did your
2016,
homework.
girl, I ain't playing
You
with you.
putting out years.
And then from, but I found I
Yeah.
found your progression amazing because from
Hmm.
2009 to 2012, you did short films. And I want y'all to listen to what I'm saying. And then
Hmm.
from 2013 to now, major
Hmm.
television roles and
Hmm.
film roles. So
Hmm.
can you talk about what it took to go from background to
Hmm.
short films, and then you're the lead and you're starring in major television and film productions?
Gosh, that just touched me right there because for me, I never really think about everything that I have going on or what I first did to what I'm doing now. But that just set with me because I have been acting or '09,
Mm,
and I stuck with it, and it's this industry is almost not many are able to. Not many people stick with it. Some people, they life happens, they decide to do other things. Sometimes the money isn't always flowing. Luckily for me, I live way below my means.
yeah.
But still I'm able, and as I expressed earlier, like, I'm so truly blessed, and I'm so glad that I stuck with it. But to answer your question, wow, so from 2009 to 2012 or 2013 ish, so yes, I stood on when House of Pain first aired. So I was a stand-in back then, and I would learn set etiquette. So during the week, Monday through Friday, I would be on set, and then on the weekends, people would be like, "Hey, would you like the opportunity to be in my short? We'll be filming on the weekends because then stuff was happening on the weekends." So I was like,
Hmm.
"Okay, you know." So that's what I would do. So during the week, I would be on set, learning, observing, studying, and then on the weekends, I would be in front of the camera. So I was taking what I was learning and then just adding it to the weekend. And that really that really showed me so much, and it's still stuck with me today because I'm very observant about everything that goes on around set, whether it's my steps, whether it's me whether it's my when I say steps, basically where you have to stand or where you have to move, whatever the situation may be, as far as like how I may break down a scene or a script, even to where it's just like not bothering anyone on set unless you really need to interact with them in a scene. It's a lot that goes in with it, but from yeah, again, from 2009 to 2012, 2013, that's what I did. Moving forward, I said, okay, let me search around for different agencies, because by this time I'll build up a resume of short films or student films or whatever may have been. And so I did have like a little reel that I put together. And I was also networking and building relationships.
Mm,
So one thing that I'm also very thankful for is that there were so many people, from back then who I'm still connected to now, who have gone and done bigger and better things, and they've reached back and they pulled me with them, and they're like, "Dawn, you know what? You've been at it for so long. You deserve this. Why don't I put you in this?" I mean, not all the time it happens like that. Or they may
right.
say, "I have a project coming up. I want you to audition for that role." And I'm always so thankful. I always show gratitude when I'm able to. It's so funny. I have to give a shout out to casting director George Pierre. Um, he's called me many of times, and I always show gratitude, but I'm always so overwhelmed when he calls because it's a joyous moment.
Yes.
And I'm just like, "Oh my God, thank you for calling me. I appreciate you." He's like, "Okay, girl, get off my phone." George he's New York. He's very much New York. Like, all right, all that, all right,
Right.
bye. But but I'm very grateful for anyone who may mention my name in rooms. So whether it's for an audition, whether it's for a booking, whatever it may be, I'm simply grateful for each and every opportunity.
Wow, that is amazing. And you
Yeah.
said two things that really jumped out: set etiquette
Mhm.
and relationships. So can you
Yes.
talk a little bit about the importance of set etiquette? Because I mentor people in the film space.
Hmm.
I'm very big on treating yourself as a business. I always tell filmmakers, actors, whoever, that you're a sole proprietor, that you are the business, you are the product. And when you're on set, you're presenting yourself as the product. And if that product is bad,
Hmm.
they ain't buying it. They may buy it once, but they ain't gonna buy it twice if the product is, for lack of a better word,
Hmm.
malfunctioning or not doing what it should do.
Exactly.
So can you talk about the importance of having great set etiquette
Mhm.
and doing what you should be doing. And also,
Mhm.
you said something really, really important about while you were on set, you were learning, constantly
Mhm.
learning. So, can you
Mhm.
talk about the importance of how that works in your favor when you
Mhm.
have that particular mindset?
Absolutely. So for me, I'm extremely, we've hung out, we've been around each other. I have a very bubbly personality. However, on set, extremely focused. And the reason being is because time is money. I don't want to waste anybody's money, and I definitely don't want to waste anybody's time. So I take what I do obviously very seriously. Um, so I'm not on set playing around. I'm not, talking to a lot of people or, moving and shaking around. No, I'm in my trailer or I'm in my room and I'm going over the lines, figuring out different ways. If I have a scene partner, then maybe we're running lines together. And it's because if we can get the scene in one take, that's good for everybody. That
Mhm.
means that everybody gets to go home early. However, if we're there on set and the scene isn't connecting, or I'm not connecting with my partner, and it's taking more time, then the day drags. And I definitely don't want to have anyone on set longer than what they should be because we have families. Sometimes set can last 10 to 12 hours. That's long days. It could be draining sometime as an actor, depending on the emotions you have to give, or whether it's for the grip guys. They're doing the lights and they're helping. So I'm very mindful of everything that goes on around me on set. So when I say set etiquette, that's the first thing that I've absolutely learned. Um, as far as studying, I love telling this story too. Kim Whitley. I was
Love
a
her.
stand-in. Kim Whitley. I was a stand-in on Let's Stay Together years ago, and as a stand-in, what we would do was we would get our sides like a day or two before they would actually, and we would run uh, the rehearsals, and then like maybe the third day they would actually shoot the scenes. So Kim Whitley, she was flying in from LA, and I was her stand-in. So they were like, okay, Dawn, make sure you take all the notes, the direction, everything like that. So then when Kim gets here, she may not have enough time to really run it, but just make sure she knows all of her steps, her movements, and so on and so forth. I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. So the day comes, I am ready. I am off book. I have all her lines memorized. I would never forget. So they're like, okay, action. I start moving through the scenes. I'm going through it. Kim says, cut, cut.
Mhm.
No, no. She's like, this is my role. It was she did it in a playful way. I think
Mhm.
it was playful but kind of serious in the same time. Right. But she made sure that she let it be known that I'm not taking her role. And I'm like, no, I don't want to take your role. Like that's all you. Congratulations. But that just also let me know that I was doing an excellent job just by
Right.
memorizing the lines and the steps just as her stand-in. So I love telling that stories. I can't wait till I see her in person and be like, you remember back in 2010 when you
Mm.
put Let's Stay Together? And I was just saying, just kind of laugh about it. But that was a funny story and a great time back then as well. But yeah, so just really just learning, just different set etiquettes and just making sure that I always stay positive. There's tons of things that may go wrong on set or that may be out of your control. And you just want to make sure that in the middle of chaos, you stay calm.
Yeah, but that's you know what, that is a great story. And it's
Hmm.
funny, but for anyone listening, there's a lesson to be learned in that. When you
Hmm.
come ready and prepared, you may be the stand-in, but because
Hmm.
you're so ready and prepared, that's not the only production people will be filming. That is not the
Absolutely.
only thing that will be getting made. So if you
Absolutely.
come as a consummate professional,
Hmm.
people are watching and they're saying, you know what? Dawn is the stand-in for this one, but I tell you what, she don't even have to audition for the role that we have in mind. We just gonna call up her
Hmm.
agent and say, send her
Yeah.
over. So
Yeah.
it's that is so important when you come ready to work, ladies and gentlemen, when you come
Absolutely.
ready to work. So that's a master class in under 5 minutes. Excuse me. But
No,
let's
you're
let's
fine.
talk about you. and language, because you talked about the power of language and manifestation and how you speak
Yes.
life over yourself and the roles
Yes.
that you want. So can you talk about
Yes.
that?
Well, first thing, I'm very mindful of what I speak. I try to never speak anything negatively because my thought process is this: the way we were created is that God placed our ears close to our mouth, because when we speak, that's the first thing we hear, not what you speak to me. What I speak of myself, that's what I hear first. So that's why I'm always very mindful. I always speak nothing but positive affirmations over my life. And I expect greatness. That's why I receive greatness. And I'm telling you, even with my foundation, the way I was raised, I was raised in a church, and grandma had us in church 3 4 times a week. So I believe that plays a big part. Well, I know it plays a big part of how I live my life, as well as my beliefs just today, just in general. Mhm.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's amazing.
yeah.
So let's talk about the part of the film industry that is always there, but people don't like to talk about.
Okay.
Rejection.
Mm.
Rejection.
Hmm.
And I think a lot of people don't really understand how many no's you hear before they get in this business.
Woo.
So, can you talk about how you work through
Mhm.
the no's, knowing that eventually that yes is coming? How do you do that and stay focused and on point?
Well, as a child, my mother installed confidence in me. And not saying that rejection doesn't get to me, because there's sometimes roles I'm just like, oh, please let me just get this call that I booked it, and I don't receive it.
Mhm.
However, I do know that a better job is coming. So rejection doesn't hit me. I don't go into a deep depression, or I don't get all upset and cry, or whatever the situation is. I'm not at that level to where I'm just like, oh man, this, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm always like, okay, you know what? That wasn't for me. That was for someone else. But you know what? The next project will. I just keep going. I just keep going. I just continue to keep going. I continue to keep studying. I find different ways to be creative or collab with like minded individuals. And that's all I can do. That's all I can do. And I just stay at it.
Mm. Yeah,
Mm.
that's amazing. Well, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been in a situation, as far as film or television wise, and you were doing okay, but it did not sit well in your spirit, and you were kind of going back and forth saying, okay, well, Dawn, this is paying the rent, but I'm not happy. Have you ever been in a situation like that where you just said to yourself, I'm just going to step out on faith, and I'm walking away from this, knowing that at that moment there was nothing on the horizon, but you just said, you know what, it may not be something that I can see right now, but I
Mm.
know it's coming. Have you ever been in that type of a situation?
I don't believe that has been during my expand of being in the industry. I
Hmm.
believe that happened when I transitioned from being in the corporate world
Okay.
to the film industry. Because not knowing, because again, I had a steady paycheck every 2 weeks. I had health insurance, you know, and of course, again, we had bills and everything like that, to where I just stepped out on faith, not knowing when my next check was gonna come, not knowing about my health insurance, not knowing a lot of things. But I just believed in myself, and I just stayed connected with many individuals in the industry, whether it be other actors, producers, writers, directors. And I just kind of stayed connected in, whether I was working at the time or not.
Hmm.
I made sure I continued to support people in the industry. And then that way, it always came back to me, or always came back to where I have been consistently working. whether it's on whether it's on TV and film or commercial or something else. So I've been extremely blessed in my career, extremely blessed. And I don't say that lightly. I know that I'm extremely blessed because, like, I've heard of different stories. I know that of many of people who have fallen off. Well, not saying fallen off, but many of people who have decided to pivot out of the industry and
Mhm.
just decided, you know what, I'm not getting paid that much money. Let me go ahead and take this job, to where I can get paid and settle and make sure that my life is set. For me, I'm just like, hey, if it comes, it comes. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But I don't live above my means whatsoever. I make sure my bills are paid first.
Okay.
I'm like, my bills are paid first, and whatever comes after that, then it's like, okay, then I can play. But other than that, I'm very I'm very focused.
Mhm.
I'm very, I'm very, I don't play when it comes to again, I don't play when it comes to being on set, and I don't play when it comes to my bills. That's, you can't live with that,
I
without
know
that.
that's
So
right. I know that's
yeah.
right. But you know what? I'm going to go back for a second because you have the corporate job,
Yeah.
you leave the corporate job.
Hmm.
So, one of the things that you always get in this industry from people that are not in the industry, oh, that's not a real job. So, when you decided that acting was going to be the thing that you did,
Hmm.
what was the reaction from your circle of friends? Did you get encouragement, or did people say, "Well, Dawn, what? Why in the world would you want to do that?" Because of the fact that it's such an unstable industry, and you
Hmm.
don't know when that next check is coming, and you're leaving
Hmm.
a job with health benefits, and they are important, and
Hmm.
a check that you knew would be hitting your bank every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So what
Yeah.
was the reaction from your friends when you told them, well, girl, I'm gonna go pursue acting?
Um, it's funny because I have a few of my friends, they remind me, and my best friend, we have been best friends since the age of 12. We're
Mm.
still best friends, and that's rare. I know that for sure. But a few of my other friends, I see them every so often. They're like, now I'm just so proud of you. I just want to give you your flowers and tell you that you're doing such an amazing job. I remember when you first said that you was going to start acting. I didn't have any acting experience, but I went for it and I continued and I'm still at it. And they always continue to pour into me. And one thing that I often say, that I say often, is that your friends support you and they lift you up. And if they don't do that, then they're not your friends. They are not your friends. And I've been blessed to have some really solid individuals around me that I absolutely love to my core. Some that are in the industry and some who are not. But those but my friends, they are genuinely my friends. They care about what I'm doing, but they don't care about the zeros that I got in my account, the amount
Mhm.
of zeros I have in my account. And some of my friends in the industry, I can call them up if I have a question about anything and they will answer, no problem. And then I have friends outside of the industry who I can discuss some things with, and they're very supportive.
That is amazing because
Yeah.
you get a lot of unfortunately, I've seen through the years with some people, as long as you guys are supposedly on the same level, it's all good. But
Mm.
then when you
Uh,
and it's like, well, who do they think they are? But
mhm,
that's amazing that you have
mhm.
a phenomenal circle of friends, because that's important that you
It
have
is.
an amazing support system.
It,
Yeah.
it truly is. And like I said, I could just sit here and tell stories about each and every one of them, but they'll be
Mhm.
like, it's not that serious. But they'll know me, like my even my family. My family was like, even before I started acting, they were like, you were always dramatic or
Right.
a comedic, and it's crazy because it's like maybe they saw something in myself that I didn't see at the time.
Right.
So now I'm
Yeah.
just displaying it. Now it's on display. Now I'm able to really, you know, uh, be in front of the camera, and they're able to see different projects that I'm in and support that way as well. So
That's amazing. So
yes,
not only are you an accomplished actress, thespian, you are an
Mhm.
executive producer for
Yes,
both television
yes.
and film. and you got a couple things under your belt, which is absolutely amazing. So can you talk about why you decided that you wanted to go in the direction of
Mhm,
being a producer?
mhm. Um, Being in this industry, you obviously want to have multiple categories or multiple things under your belt.
Hmm.
It's like you don't want to just you don't want to be known as an actor because then you'll be placed in a box. You would either want to be an actor writer, actor producer, or director or whatever this is, because it's like if you're only acting, I feel like it's almost kind of like you're waiting for a job. Now, of course, acting will always be my first love, and that is
Hmm.
awesome. However, I knew that being a producer, I could be more hands on of the project. I could also give other people, other like minded individuals, opportunities that they may not have. Also be able to say, hey, okay, it's just really about being able to have a bigger say so in different projects versus just being in front of the camera, getting a check, and then going home. So I was like, you know what, let me produce, let me collaborate with other people, and let me see how I can be beneficial to them as I would want them to collab with me on some things. And I was just it's really about just finding different ways to be creative you know
Mm.
yeah, just finding different ways to be creative. So actor, producer, and who knows, maybe I'll add author to that, or maybe I'll add director to that. Who knows? But I definitely plan on writing a book in the very near future.
Okay.
So that's probably something that I'll add.
Oh, that's amazing. I can't wait to
Yeah.
read it. But let's
Yes.
let's talk about a couple of shows that you've been in,
Yes.
Saints and Sinners
Yes.
and Tales. And I
Yes.
mentioned those two because
Uh-huh.
a good friend of mine, Neil
Yes.
Carr, yeah, I worked with Neil Carr years ago. He was in my first feature film, and
Wow.
I saw, and it's so funny the story with that. I had I had actually cast someone else in a lead role for that part, and then my partner at the time, she was like, "Well, first of all, you jumped the gun," and she said, "Secondly, you need to go see this guy Neil on
Mm.
stage." So me and my wife bought some tickets and saw this show that he was in, this theater show. And we're sitting in the audience and we look at each other and we were like, "He's it." And and so I had to call the other dude and was like, "Yo, unfortunately, I got to go in a
Ooh.
different direction." That was one of the worst
Yeah.
phone calls I ever had to make. I hated doing
It
that.
hit you a little bit. It stung a little bit.
Yeah, it did. I didn't like doing that, but
Yeah.
Neil is such a phenomenal brother, and Saints and Sinners was a good show, and then Tales.
Yeah.
And another good friend of mine, when I saw that, I was like, "Oh, Patrick E. Coker was the showrunner
Yes.
on that."
Yeah.
Yeah. So can you and see, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to Dawn, I just want you guys to understand what just happened. This is a very small business, as big as it is. Everybody knows everybody.
It's so small. It's so small. I like to say it's like high school.
It is.
It's like high school. Yeah. It's like being back in high school.
So you need to be very careful what you say to people and who
Absolutely.
you say it about,
Who you say it
because
to.
there
Yeah.
you go,
Yes.
because you
Yeah.
just don't know who knows who. But
That is
let's
so
talk
true.
about Saints and Sinners
Yes.
and
Saints and
Tales, because
sinners.
Saints and Sinners I came to kind of late, but I was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't watching this. So how did you get on Saints and Sinners?
Oh gosh. Another story I love sharing. My mother was actually in hospice. My mother passed 10
Mm,
years ago, this past January. And excuse me, I will never forget, back to George Pierre. I got an audition for Saints and Sinners from George Pierre. And I remember talking to my mother and I said, I don't know if I want to turn this audition in. I don't know if I want to. She was like, go, do it, tape it. And I was just like, you sure? And she was like, yes. Okay. So I told myself that I wouldn't mention her her being I mean, my close friends, they knew, but no one else knew. But I didn't want to tell anyone of the on the production. And the thing about it too is like, even when you're on set, that's work. You know,
Hmm.
you leave personal life outside of that. But I didn't want to tell anyone on the production once I booked because I didn't want to be replaced. This is a very quick industry.
Yes.
One thing for sure is that I'm like, if I would have been like, hey, my mom's in hospice, I don't know, they would have been like, okay, you know what? Don't even worry about it. We'll go somewhere else.
Hmm.
And I took this as an opportunity that, okay, it can lead to something bigger and better. And then at the same time, that was my first recurring role. So it was a wonderful opportunity for me. Um, I kept my promise with my mother. You may see my hashtags where I say promise keeper. That's our little thing that we used to say to each other. So um, yeah, so I kept my promise, and once I booked, it was amazing. We went 6 seasons. So shouts out to Saints and Sinners, the production, the producers, the cast. Um, Working with Vanessa Bell Calloway, Clifton
Ooh.
Powell, Keith Robinson, Trey Chaney, Neil, and JD Williams, like the list goes on. But working with so many talented actors, and majority of them had roles up under their belt already, so I took it like, oh my gosh, I can learn something from them. So it was a wonderful time. It was a wonderful experience. Working with Neil was so dope. He is such an amazing individual. He is
Yeah.
truly, truly kind. He has such a wonderful spirit as well. And yeah, so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'm like, man, how you looking that good being that nice? Come on, player.
Right.
Really? Hey, damn, man. Come on. My wife
Yeah.
looking at him, my daughter's looking at him. I'm like, what the, come on, dog. But
I'm surprised he's not a fitness model, right?
yeah, yeah.
See, you see it, right? Yeah,
Man,
I'm
what you
surprised.
doing, man? Why you showing off? We can see your abs through your shirt. You can see your abs
Yeah,
through your sweater. What's wrong with you? And everything. But yeah, he's definitely a good brother. But
very
I
good.
wanted to talk to you about. I saw this video where you were doing weapons training. Now, was that for a role, or was that just
Yes.
because you were doing weapons training?
No, so that was actually I booked this role, and it
Okay.
was it last year? Yes, it was last year. I booked this role last year, and although it was an independent role, independent movie, they
Mhm.
said, okay, so I read the script, and in the script, I would be carrying different guns,
Mm,
handling different guns and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, I have a gun, but the type of guns that they were talking about, the character would be handling, I didn't have any experience with. So I said, let me go through training.
mm,
Make sure that let me go through training, put me through training, because one thing about me is that I always want to make sure that every role that I book is authentic and as believable as possible. So when people are out on the street and they say, "Girl, you played that role," I, that means I did my job. Beyond studying, besides training, I want to the core. I want people to be like, "Okay, you know what? She's an actor and she's a good actor. Like she does what she's supposed to do. She commits to every role." And so that's what I did. So I told the producers, I'm like, hey, I know I'm handling this, and I would like, these different guns. I would like to go through training. They put me through
mhm,
training. It was so crazy. After I said that, they put the other cast in training as well.
mm.
So it was just me speaking up, and then one of the other cast members was like, "Yo, we appreciate the fact that you mentioned it because I never handled this gun before either." I'm like, see, I'm like, all it just takes is just speaking up. But I'm so glad I did it. Learned
Yeah.
so much on that project, and it should be coming out this year.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. And you
yeah,
know what? The authenticity or the lack thereof shows up.
yes, I love that. I
And
love that.
you can look and you're like, girl, she ain't never handled a super soaker.
You know what? And let me tell you, and this is another reason why I spoke of training, because again, although I own a gun, me being in tails, I played a detective,
Mm,
and I had a gun, and someone inboxed me and said, I watched your character in Tails, and it wasn't believable because da 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 da." And I was like, actually, let me tell you something.
mhm,
and I said what I had to say, but was I trained? I just went off what I knew of for what I had my gun. So that's actually what encouraged me to
Okay.
get training. So I said from that point forward, anytime I handle any type of gun, other than, on set, they'll be like, hey, if you have a gun, make sure you do this, make sure you don't do that. Um, and other than that, I'm like, no, put me through training so I'll know exactly what I cannot do, should or should not do. I make
Right.
sure of that.
Right. So let's talk about your skits with
Yeah.
Country
Oh,
Wayne.
yeah.
How did
Yes.
that happen?
Oh gosh. So, just to Mike Bless and Chase Walker. You know, just being here on the Atlanta scene. Mike Bless was also on Saints and Sinners.
Mm,
I actually believe after Saints and Sinners rap was probably during the time he collabed with Wayne, and they probably started the skits. I came in a little bit later, but again, Mike, knew that we acted before, and he was like, "Hey, John, I saw him out at screening. He and Chase Walker were together, and he was like, "Hey, I might have something for you." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." He called me up one day, and then here I'm on the skits. He was like, "Yeah, I've been telling Wayne about." Wayne has his crazy schedule, so I never got a chance to really meet with Wayne until later on. But I'm very thankful to Mike and to Chase. Mike, that I was with Mike under Mike's production at a point in time, and then Chase Walker called me back in, and then I went to a different production. So it's been amazing. Yeah, I love being on set with Rolanda White and Natasha Mumford and Kendrick Cross and all of the cast. Everybody's really really dope.
yeah, it's amazing how his palette has expanded.
Woo!
It's amazing, and he is a perfect example of not waiting for
Mhm.
an invite to the table.
There you go.
Yo, Joan.
Literally created his own.
Mhm.
Like his platform, it's it's something that it blows my mind because we obviously, are told numbers from month to month. And like I believe a couple of months ago, he hit 1 billion views.
Wow.
Over 1 billion views. YouTube, Facebook.
Mhm.
And when I tell you that his fans are die-hard fans, it's insane. I will never forget. I was flying out somewhere and I had sat down, and this lady pulled up one of my skits that had just dropped. Um, and I thought that she was going to say, "Is this you?" But she didn't. I heard my voice and I was like, "Uh oh, here it comes." And she didn't even know I was sitting literally right beside her.
Wow.
But my character is so aggravating and so extra that she was just grunting and moaning, like the whole time. And I recorded, I was cracking up laughing. I was just kind of like chuckling or whatever. And we got on our flight peacefully, and we landed peacefully. But it was so funny just to hear this. I was like, okay, again, that means I'm doing my job.
Yes.
I do it
Yes.
well.
Yes, you are doing your job.
Yeah.
But you know what? That is a testament, and I hope that more Black creatives
Mm.
take that route where they're doing their own thing because Hollywood is changing so much. And I just saw a video with Issa Rae talking
Yes.
about how well her vertical is doing on TikTok. And
On
I
TikTok.
yeah, on TikTok. And I think that more of us, we have got to have a global mindset when it comes to film and creating, as opposed to just saying Hollywood is the only
Yes.
avenue that can be pursued in order to be successful. And then you have someone like you just said, Country Wayne hitting 1 billion views. That's his
Yes.
money. That's
That's
his money.
his money.
He ain't
And
got
it's
to cut that with nobody
right.
except the
And
people
it's
he pays.
okay. Yeah. And he takes care of so many people. And the thing about it too, when you mention Hollywood, it's like, so many people in the industry, they run towards Hollywood. But when you're on a platform like that, Hollywood comes to you.
Yes.
Like he already has his fans. He already has, again, his platform. He already has money. He's not looking for Hollywood for anything, you know. So I can only imagine that Hollywood may be trying to knock his door down
Mhm.
for opportunities. But again, I'm so grateful, you know, the skits have been a true blessing. I think I've been with the new production for possibly a year now, and
Okay.
it's been so great.
Yeah,
It's been so
that's
great.
that's amazing. Yeah, a good friend of mine that's working with him now, Tiffany Yancey, she
Uh-huh.
just posted that their film that they co-wrote together is premiering at the ABFF.
Good. Yes.
And I'm like,
Yes.
go ahead to
Good.
do
That's
that
what
thing.
Coco Jones, right? Coco Jones is in that.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Good.
So yeah, I've known Tiffany for forever. So
Good.
again, you watch the journeys of people, and you're like, wow, it is just so amazing to see where you started and where you are and where
Yes.
you're continuing to go. And with that, let's talk about Southwest on
Southwest.
Tubi with
Southwest.
one of the Fab Five, Jalen
Jalen
Rose. You
Rose.
play Ava, his wife. So
Yes. Yes.
how did that role come about? How did you end up getting cast for Southwest?
One of the producers reached out to me. I actually worked with her before,
Mhm,
Hillionaire Productions. Shout out to Jamie McCoy. But she reached out to me and she was like, "Hey," she was like, um, I'm producing this series with Jalen Rose, and my first question was does Jalen act?" And she was like, "Well, you know, he's gonna get some 1-on-one classes." And so I was like, "Okay, you know, well, that's awesome." I mean, I know him from playing basketball
mhm.
years ago, and of course, as you mentioned, Fat Five. And she was like, "But it's a really good series, and you know, I feel like it talks about some really great topics." And I said, okay. I said, well, let me take a read. And originally, she wanted me in a different character. And so when I read the character, I was like, oh, I'm about to kill this role. I said, yes, because this is something different than I've ever played before.
Mhm.
And this would be, again, a wonderful opportunity. And then, like, maybe a week and a half before we started filming, she called me up and she was like, hey, so I changed your role. You'll now be playing his wife. And my immediate reaction was, why? I was like, why am I playing his wife? Not saying that I didn't want to, you know, because sharing the screen with Jalen is such an he's such a dope soul. But I just felt like the other character had more range. And but still I feel like with me being able to show my acting skills, and you know, everyone truly enjoying Southwest on Tubi, you know, and the topics again, I feel like that's the role I was supposed to land. So
Yeah, that's amazing.
yeah.
That the Braxton. Oh, good grief! I cannot.
Tawanda, that's, oh, I love her.
So
I
was it
love
like
Tawanda Braxton.
playing opposite her?
Tawanda is such a wonderful soul. We call each other twins because we're both Virgos. So we both
Mm,
are, you know, she's actually in the Wayne skits as well. And I got her
okay.
in our side on our production as well. But just working beside her, she is she is just pure joy. You know, sometimes and I say this and I speak for myself, sometimes we have this, I don't know, maybe celebrities may, you think they may act a certain way or may be a certain way. Tawanda, when I first met her, I said, oh my gosh, I love her so much. She just has this joy about herself, and a wonderful spirit that just immediately connected myself to her. I just wanted to be, you know, just be a wonderful, she's just a wonderful person, a wonderful human being.
Yeah, that's amazing. So
Yeah.
congratulations, you guys are doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
And I just love the way the show tackles some touchy subjects, but they do it in a tasteful manner.
Yes.
And it's just amazing, the teen pregnancy and things,
Yes.
things like that, having to deal with that. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, it happens. So
Yeah.
it's how you approach it, and
Mhm.
it's just a show that is showing Black people in a phenomenal light, a real light, a true light,
Yeah.
but a phenomenal light, and I love that.
Thank
but
you.
you are busy. You are busy. And let's throw out some congratulations because you won Best Supporting Actress. Woo woo for Terry
Thank you.
Miller McMillan's Preach, Pray, Love.
Yes,
You
yes. Thank
got
you.
Surviving Sasha
Oh,
coming out.
yes. Yes,
Then you
yes.
one of the actors to watch Flex Media. So you just out here doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
I mean, so wow.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's so funny because Blex Media posted, I believe it was like last week or maybe the week before last, um, top 10, well, 10 actors that you want to keep an eye out on.
Mhm,
And I didn't know it. Like all of a sudden my social media started blowing up and immediately I thought, oh great, I'm getting trolled. So
mhm,
somebody is tagging me or something's going on. And I look on social media and I see my photo and they have some of the projects that are out or that were coming out at the moment. And I'm like, wow, like that truly meant the world because some of the other actors who are listed, they've done other things and and that just actually showed that yes, I am working. Yes, I
mhm.
deserve to be there. Yes, I
Yes.
do have great things coming out. Yes, keep an eye out on me. Yes. But it was such I'm so thankful for that and I just constantly, you know again just say thank you or it's constantly express how I'm so grateful to be listed amongst so many talented individuals. um but yeah, so of course they mentioned that they mentioned me today. I have Thou Shall Not Commit Adultery that will be airing on Lifetime June 6th. Shameless plug, starring Erica Campbell, Trey Breyer, CJ Williams, myself, of course, Jasmine Guy is in it, and others. So I'm very, very thankful for that.
That's amazing. Now, what is the
Yes.
project? I think I wrote it down, but I can't find it. That you just had come out on Peacock April 10th. Well,
Yes. Gosh, I'm like, I have been busy. I'm gonna say, what project was that? Yeah,
yeah.
it's called If I Can't Have You. It was myself, Kay Singleton, Rederick Williams. It's currently on Peacock. Yeah, so if you get a
Yeah,
chance,
you
make sure. Yeah,
wow, you doing it up. You doing it up. But
thank you,
I'm
thank
gonna
you.
switch gears a little bit
Okay.
because I was on your socials.
Uh-oh.
I want to know about you and what I coined it the microphone series.
Oh,
When you got this microphone and this speaker, they are so funny. So I want to know where did you come up with the idea for the microphone series? And you can have it if you want it, because I was like, oh,
so
I'm writing down. I was like, that's the microphone series. So
so
where did that happen?
I actually named it Karaoke Chronicles.
Oh,
And
okay, there you
the
go.
reason, yeah, Karaoke Chronicles. And the reason being is because, I'm a host. When it comes to my family, close friends, I host, different gatherings, holidays, and whatnot. If people come over to the house, I have nieces and nephews, and I like to have fun and, whatnot. And so I said, oh, you know what? I was just thinking, oh, you know what? I don't have a karaoke machine. Let me order a karaoke machine. Now, this
Mm,
was around Christmas. Now, I'm not saying nobody stole it. However, the date
mm,
that it was supposed to arrive, it did not.
mm,
So when it did arrive, I said, oh, I got to talk about this. So I was on my microphone and I and I posted something in my stories first. And everybody was just cracking up laughing. Everybody was like, you are hilarious. And I'm like, I was just expressing how I felt. And then it was like, it's always something going on. I believe I also mentioned the fact that my HOA complained about some red ribbons that was around my pillar. It was just red ribbons. That was it. I got a note saying that it was Christmas and it should have been removed around Christmas. And I was like, okay, so y'all complaining about these red ribbons.
right.
However, I got a charge on my account for an amenity that I never even used. So make it make sense. So everyone laughed at that. I have so many things that I can discuss and talk about. I am very mindful of not to go too far,
Mhm.
but it's just funny things that happen in my life. I just tell stories. And it's
Yeah.
so funny because when I'm cleaning up or when I'm moving around and doing something, I have the microphone in my hand. I turn my radio on and I just be blasting the microphone, the radio, the karaoke, everything. So I have a fun time in my house by myself too.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw
Yeah.
the one with the with the red ribbon and the wreaths, and I'm like,
Woo!
now wait a minute now.
Woo!
Did they make you whole, or did they make it whole? Did they straighten that out?
Well, it is straightened. They removed that charge, but
Okay.
I removed the ribbons as well. But I'm like,
Okay.
it's not that serious. I'm like, it's just red ribbons, and it's not like I'm like red ribbon. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Really? You really?
Like, there's other things going on in this community that you could so be worried about, but I'll remove the red ribbons. That's fine.
But
It's
your red ribbon.
my red ribbons. They was mad. I was like, oh gosh, okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
And just one more. So how did jury duty work out?
let me tell let me tell you, did you see I acted, so I had this fur coat and it was cold around that time. So I call it my furish coat because it's not a real fur coat, but I love it and it's very heavy. I walked into jury duty with that fur coat and
Mm,
I walked all the way I put on a show for those people.
mm.
And my friend said, girl, they gonna know you got money, so they gonna make you stay. They did not.
Oh, okay.
So I just gave the people that was in the courtroom waiting, just a little show. I was doing a little shimmy with my court, and I had my sunglasses. I was just being extra for no for no reason, but it was all out of fun.
That's amazing. So this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for spending an hour of your day with me. I have had such an amazing time, and I've learned so much.
Well,
And I
thank
just
you.
I just have a couple more questions because I don't want to
Okay.
monopolize your time.
Yes.
You've been in this business since 2009.
Hmm.
What would be one piece of advice that you would give a young black woman or anyone for that matter deciding that, hey, you know what, this is the business that I want to be in? What would be one piece of advice? Or if you got a couple pieces of advice, what would that be for anyone deciding this is what they want to do?
Um, I would definitely say research, um, build relationships, don't burn bridges. Um, I always mention, collaborating with like-minded individuals. I always mention that because I feel like so many up and coming actors and actresses they have a speaking line and they automatically want to go straight to Tyler Perry or they
Mhm.
automatically want to go straight to 50 Cent or whomever. And I'm like, it's okay that if they tell you no, to collab with those who are next to you because they're also grinding as well. They may be, and this is something also that I learned too. Someone who may be a PA today can be a director in 5 years. Like, you just have no idea where this industry may take you. Um, just stay connected. Just really stay connected. Stay true to yourself and hold on to your morals.
That's amazing. And
And,
that has
and stay
happened.
prayed up. Stay
Yeah,
prayed
that
up as well.
girl,
I'm
listen.
I'm spiritual. Yes, I'm a true believer in God, and I pray a lot. And I stay in my prayer closet. I pray for everybody, because so many people are hurting nowadays.
Yes.
Hurting. So many people need healing. So many people are going through situations that they don't like to talk about. So I pray for everyone, and I just pray that people have peace. And I think that's most important. Just keep your happiness. You know, beyond everything. Keep your happiness and stay prayed up.
That is definitely true. Um,
Absolutely.
so what's next?
Listen, I just mentioned it, again, thou shall not, which would be airing June 6th, which I'm so thankful for that. Of course, writing, starting finishing my book. I started it, but what I've noticed is that, of course, it's about my mother and the things that she and I went through. Um, while she was in hospice. And I had to take a step back because it's basically reliving the moments.
Right.
And I needed to heal from that because I was raised the only child. She was a single parent, and we were very, very close. And I just took a step back because I'm like, okay, when I write it, I don't want to write it just to be right now. I want to write it so that
Right.
people can learn from it, or someone who's going through the same thing can say, you know what, thank you so very much for writing this, and thank you for being strong and telling your story, because that has encouraged the next person to tell theirs. So that's next for me.
Okay. And
Yeah.
where can people find you?
All social media platforms, my first and last name, which is Dawn Halfkenny.
You know what? You have a very interesting last name.
I do. I do. My family is from Nova Scotia.
Okay, okay,
Yeah.
because I forgot to ask you that. I
Yeah.
said that is a very interesting last
Yeah.
name. That's
Yeah.
amazing. Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia, Canada. Yep.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you connect with Dawn on social media and you decide that you want to send her a direct message, please be professional.
Yes.
Please, please do
Yes.
not reach out to this amazing young lady in an unprofessional manner. Don't do that, because that really goes a long way in this business, how you show up. I have deleted more messages because of your approach. And
Mm.
I'm sure that Dawn gets a lot of messages that she deletes as well. So if you have a question or anything like that, please make sure that when you go into her direct messages or you email her, that you
Mhm.
are wearing your professionalism on your sleeve.
Mhm.
But again,
Mhm.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in with us. And Dawn, again, thank you so much for taking an hour of your day to spend with
Of
me. I am
course.
so appreciative of it. We definitely have
Of
to do it
course.
again. And
Absolutely.
hopefully next time Okima will be here, but she's actually in Los Angeles filming
Congratulations to her,
right
and tell her
now.
congratulations for ABFF. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. So I'm trying to figure out if I will be going back to the American Black Film Festival, but that's a conversation for another
Yeah,
day.
it's a conversation outside.
Nothing with the
You're right.
ABFF. I love the ABFF.
We
It
love
is
it.
not the ABFF.
You're
It's
right.
Florida. It ain't
That
got
heat,
nothing.
that humidity is something different,
Yeah,
right? Okay, but
and some
yes.
other things, but we ain't gonna get
Yes.
into that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But
Right.
but again,
Thank you,
Dawn,
Floyd.
thank you for coming on to the show, and ladies
Of
and gentlemen,
course.
thank you for tuning in. And please watch this episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. Not because I want the ratings, but because Dawn dropped some serious gems today. You got a masterclass, and as I always say, this podcast is something that I bring to you so that you can incorporate things immediately into your arsenal that will make you a better fill in the blank. So if you're a filmmaker, if you're an actor or an actress, director, producer, the people that we like to have on our show are people that will always pour into you. And Dawn did that today, and I am so
Yes.
grateful. So, ladies and gentlemen,
You're right.
thank you for tuning into a conversation with. And as always, love it like a hobby, but treat it like a business. Have an
Okay.
absolutely amazing, amazing night. Don't go anywhere.